Hello, world. This segment, we're going to continue talking about racial healing, but I would like to get into how we perceive other people, whether it be in the media or with each other when we talk to our friends, and that is how we label a story that has nothing to do with race. An example of that would be oftentimes you see the media will say that a black guy mugged a white guy, and I ask myself, well, what does the color of the skin have to do with the mugging? If he mugged that person because of money, that should be the issue versus because of his race. Now, I'm not saying mugging is right. It is absolutely wrong to do. But if he mugged a person because of skin color, then you should put, yes, that's why the person was mugged, because of his skin color versus being mugged because of the green money in his pocket. We oftentimes will also hear, if not even use sometimes ourselves, when we discuss situations with our friends, we may say, oh, that black guy or that white guy, and it really didn't matter about the color of the person's skin when it came down to the story. Now, obviously, if it mattered when you're talking about an issue, and if race does matter and it's the forefront of the issue, obviously you got to spell it out. You got to talk about it so that people understand the story. But if it has nothing to do with the story itself, or if it has nothing to do with what's happening in the media, then it shouldn't be mentioned. I feel that people who use those terms in that situation, you're stoking the fire, and you really are hurting race relations instead of helping. I am so proud of my children because my wife and I raised them to see people for the character and not the color of their skin. So I'm very proud of them how over the years, and even now, they're adults, have their own children, they don't say my white friend, my black friend, or my brown friend. They just say my friend. They accept them for who they are inside. And that leads me to something else that's similar but yet different. We're probably all guilty of when you very first meet someone, you're not necessarily looking at the person's character or how the person is on the inside. We oftentimes are attracted by the facade, the outside of the person. And sometimes we get ourselves into relationships that really shouldn't have happened because we're attracted to the outside of the person and not necessarily knowing the inside of that person. Well, the same thing holds true when you talk about race relations. It could be the nicest person in the world or the nastiest person in the world. If you prejudge them from the outside by the way they look or their skin color, I think you'll be in for a rude awakening and you are shortchanging yourself. We should not assume that a person is going to harm you because of that person's skin. You should not assume that or be fearful of the person because their skin tone is different from your skin tone. Whether it be a black person with a white person or a white person with a black person, it doesn't matter. We should give everybody the same benefit of trust. And it's easier said than done. If you meet someone that's similar to yourself, you have a tendency of giving them more trust initially than someone that's not like you or doesn't look like you. And if we set out to say, I trust you until you show me otherwise, I think we'll start off in a better place and we can build on that trust. I'm not saying that whether or not your skin color has to do with anything with trust, as how much trust you give that person. But what I am saying is that give all people the same trust as you would someone of your same ethnicity or someone of your same skin tone that you would. Give that person the benefit of the doubt until that person has shown you otherwise. If we continue down the road of judging people or voting for people because of skin color, I think we'll never get to the issue and we'll never solve the problem of inequality. I think there's a long way that we have to go, but we have to start inside, okay? Now, the second issue I spoke about how when we talk to our friends about situations, that's probably more prevalent and it's easier for us to change as a nation simply because we are in control of that. I'm not in control of the media and how they report. I wish they wouldn't report the way. I only can control my thought process. I only can control what's inside of me going out. And if I show that to other people and other people show that to me and to each other, we'll be in a better place. So what we can control, we try to control. And what we can't control, we hope and pray that they will see the difference in that. We have to stop prejudging each other. Now, if you look at that word prejudge, and that word prejudge means that you're forming an opinion of a person before you get to know that person. And others look at it as, well, you're prejudiced, and you might be. And we all have biases, okay? And I have biases, you have biases, etc. But it's how we use those biases, how we're in control of them, and how we let them impact us and other people around us. There are certain things that I don't like. For instance, if my neighbor didn't keep his property clean and neat, etc., I don't care what color you are. I don't like the fact that you're living next door to me, you're not keeping your property clean. But if you single out certain ethnic groups or racial groups and say all of those people are like that, or I don't like all of those people for that, for a reason, but I will tolerate other groups if they had that same. Now that's different. Now that bias is controlling you instead of you controlling that bias. Okay, as I said earlier, we all have biases. We all have likes. We all have dislikes. But it's how we use those likes and how we use those dislikes with other people. Okay, so when you see someone, particularly that is a shade or two darker than you are, don't form an opinion on that person as being mistrustful, or he's going to steal or rape or mug or harm or whatever. Okay, and the same thing holds true on the other side. Don't feel that the person, because that person is of a lighter skin color, let's say of you, that person is going to be a good person, etc. All right, there are good and bad people amongst every ethnic group. I firmly believe that at least 10% of our society don't do the right things. And that doesn't have to do anything with your skin color or ethnicity or anything else. And we have to deal with that. All right, so we should accept people with open arms and with trust until they've shown us otherwise. Hopefully you got some from this. If you enjoyed this, like it, make a comment. Let me hear from you, and let's get this dialogue continuing and keep it going. And you have a blessed day. Take care.